Well, hello and welcome to the show. I am here with Wayne Philmore. Wayne is somebody I met on Facebook. I don't know how many years ago, but I've been on Facebook maybe 11 years, and I've known Wayne for quite a few of them, at least, for sure. So, Wayne, say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we got some questions for you.
All right. Can you hear me good? Can you see me good?
I hear you. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm Wayne Philmore. I am a former high school science teacher. I'm a former younger creationist, and right now I currently am a evolutionary creationist. Rub shoulders with Robert Rowe of Sentinel Apologetics, Hunter Bailey, those guys. I've coordinated interviews with Dr. Hugh Ross, Dr. Fazell Rana, Dr. Michael Heiser. So I've been around for quite some time. So that's a little bit about myself.
Now, how long ago was it that you actually left Young Earth Creationism? So
that was 3 years ago. That was in 2016.
So I think I knew you. I probably knew you when you were YEC. I mean, do you remember interacting with me when you were YEC or not?
I not when I was a YEC, but I remember afterwards.
Okay. So you say you've coordinated stuff with Hugh Ross.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'd really be interested in talking to him. So if you could help set that up, that would be awesome, because I really want to talk with him. I talked a little bit with Fuzz Rana, but it didn't go well. It ended up being a whole bunch of people on the call, and they had a whole bunch of questions and what we wanted to talk about, I never got to talk about. But Hugh Ross is somebody that teaches human origins. Well, he doesn't teach human origins. He talks about human origins, and his book about Adam, whatever it's called there. But he's made several lecture videos. And to me, he's just as bad as the Young Earth Creationists in that he considers Neanderthals a separate creation and compares them to chimpanzees. So anyway, but not what I would consider. So just 3 years ago. So you were teaching high school science as a Young Earth Creationist?
No, afterwards. It was
afterwards. Okay.
While I was teaching, the curriculum I was teaching was based on just physics, nothing to do with biology or evolution or anything like that, even though it still came up in the classroom. The kids had questions. So kids would ask questions like, I don't believe I came from an ape, or I don't believe I am an ape, and those type of things. And we would touch on those things for me like 2 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, back to physics. So
And did you find any conflict? Well, I mean, you say you taught it after, but I mean, before that, would you have found conflict with your YEC beliefs and what you actually taught after that?
Yeah, I would have found conflict with it. And I don't see how people can hold to younger creationism and teach science or teach human origins or teach anything about biology or evolutionary biology, and you believe in younger creationism. They are completely opposed to each other.
Yeah, I mean, and to some extent, the old Earth creationists. Now, I mean, do you consider yourself an old Earth creationist or theistic evolutionist? Are you still Christian, or what are you?
I still hold to Christian beliefs, absolutely. The age of the Earth and evolution and all of those science subjects, they don't have any big conflict with Christianity. Like, they don't do anything to the core tenets of Christianity. Jesus came in the flesh, died on the cross, and resurrected from the dead. But you would have a really big problem like going into like any field like astrophysics. How can you be a younger creationist and you're an astrophysicist? I am a theistic evolutionist or evolutionary creationist. I do believe that God guided evolution, or God used evolution, however you want to put it. But the fact is, evolution exists. Evolution is real, and evolution it's a fact. It happened. And if somebody wants to deny evolution because of their religious views or whatever views they have, then get some different views, because you can't deny reality.
Now, when you were raised, how were you raised? Were you raised public school, private school? Where did you learn about Young Earth creationism? How was it introduced to you?
So I was raised in a Christian home, sort of. We didn't, as a matter of fact, in my home, we didn't necessarily talk about religion. And so to fill that gap, what do most people do around the time when I was growing up? Facebook just came around. YouTube just came around the time. I had to be like in my late teens, maybe like 17, 18, looking for answers. And so when people don't talk about religion with their family or even with their friends, they go to the internet, they go to Facebook or they go to YouTube. And so I came across some, it's weird. As soon as you type in, say, for example, like God and evolution on YouTube, the first things to come up more than likely will be something from Answers in Genesis. It's like
Yeah.
they have a monopoly on the internet.
Yeah, you don't always get the scientific sites coming up first. That's for sure. Yeah, and I don't know if it's because they get more views or are they paying to do that or what it is, but
I think they're paying
definitely.
it, but
Yeah, probably.
And that goes into my journey, which we'll get into it later. How I came to my newfound beliefs, you could say. But no, I came across younger creationism just from searching stuff about religion and science on the internet, and then I met other people in Facebook groups because I met you from Facebook too, and these can be great tools. Like the internet can be great tools for meeting new people and finding out new things, but it also it shows that it can be bad. And what I've noticed, a lot of younger creationists don't really come out and say, "Hey, I got to my beliefs of where I'm at now from the internet." I went on YouTube and I looked at Hovind seminar, and now this is why I believe what I believe. There a lot of times with a lot of or in any, dare I say, in any cult, a lot of people who come into these cults, they usually are solicited by people, or they find out about this stuff through the internet. They're not usually actually like taught this.
Well, some are. I mean, I've had some guests on before that literally were taught it in church, taught it, or homeschooled, too. So, yeah.
And so, that's pretty much how it came to it. And then a couple years later, got into the great debate community and so on and so forth. And here I am today.
So you remember the great debate community. So when you joined that, were you still a creationist, a younger creationist? Or?
Yep, I still was a younger creationist.
Okay.
Then I met all of the guys in the great debate community. And in January of 2016, I got into a debate with Steve McCready, and we debated on macroevolution. And I said, you know what? If you demonstrate to me that macroevolution exists, that macroevolution is a real thing, then I will concede and I will accept that macroevolution is true. And by the end of the debate, we had like an after show. And in the after show, they showed me the definition that Answers in Genesis used for macroevolution. And then they showed me a textbook definition of macroevolution. And right there, I was like, oh, these definitions are completely different. Answers in Genesis is not being honest. And that is what started me off into my journey of becoming a theistic evolutionist or evolutionary creationist.
That's interesting. And I never got the whole Google Plus thing. I never, I got involved in Facebook, and I guess I spent a lot of time there, but I just never got into that whole Google Plus and the other communities on there. It's too much and too different. Yeah. So that's neat. All right. What else did I have for you? So the difference between macroevolution, what you were taught that it meant, or what you thought Answers in Genesis said it meant, whatever, and what it actually means to scientists who rarely use that term, but do occasionally. That was one of the things that helped change your mind. What about age of the Earth, geology, things like that?
I got to geology last in my search for truth. But what also helped was astronomy, astrophysics. The Starlight Problem is one of the biggest problems that younger creationists have, and it wasn't until if I can find it after this talk, I'll even give it to you. But there was an article I was reading trying to get answers, and the Answers in Genesis article admitted, oh, we actually don't have a solution for this problem. And they list all of the different rebuttals they had to this problem. And they even admitted these problems don't work. I mean, these answers don't work. And so then they even admit, if all of this is true, then yes, the younger creationist God is deceiving us. And then they just kind of sidestep it and they're like, but you don't need to worry about that because younger creationism is true. And in my mind, I'm like, how can you say younger creationism is true when this problem obviously falsifies it? Obviously. And so I went deeper. I went into geology. I went into different layers of the earth, stuff like that, geologic column, and then I started finding out about fossils that I've never seen before. Like I guarantee a lot of like the beginner followers of Answers in Genesis, they probably never seen Tiktaalik before because I had it. That was a transitional fossil that I was never shown because Answers in Genesis, they'll tell you things like, oh well, that stuff it just. Meanwhile, while Answers in Genesis made Ark Encounter, they're gluing fossils and stuff together, making their own hybrid animals on the Ark. Just blows your mind.
Yeah, I love their giraffe with the half long neck, that they have, because the giraffe kind didn't have a long neck yet. So it's like, they show a transitional form as their arc, or their giraffe kind, which was really interesting. Have you ever? Well, let's go to this question here. We got. I guess we want some clarification on the definitions of macroevolution between the textbook and Answers in Genesis. If you can remember any specifics, or.
So I'm not sure if I can, if I remember the definition Answers in Genesis gave, but as far as I can remember, their definition was something along the lines of it was not very classy either. Like their definition of evolution was from like goo to you, or from
Yeah.
Seriously. If you go on their website, like this is the type of language they use. It's not very scholarly.
Goo to you by way of the zoo. Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff. And so it was something along those lines. But when you look at a textbook definition of macroevolution, I'm more of a physics guy, but the textbook definition was something along like a change in an allele frequency over time, something along those lines. And when you compare and contrast those two definitions, obviously one is obviously more scholarly than the other. And that's the point I'm trying to bring across. And so when I looked at those stark contrasts, and then I looked at some other stuff, I said, well, obviously somebody's making something up, or somebody's not being completely honest.
Yeah. So specific thing that changed your mind, a little bit of everything then, I mean, definitely the definition, seeing how the real definition of biological evolution, and having someone explain that to you. You say you looked into geology and then physics and things like that too. Were there any individuals? I mean, once you started becoming doubting, after your debate with Steve McCready and that, and you started searching, I guess, for more answers and more information, were there any individuals out there on YouTube or Facebook, or just in general anywhere that you kind of talked with, contacted, anything like that? Or was it all just studying stuff, other things online?
I contacted, oh my gosh, I wish I could go on back. I probably could go find this in my internet history, but there was a historian, I forgot his name. There was a historian who referred me to another historian, because it was to the point where I was trying to find out church history. Did the church always just accept the earth is young, the earth is 6,000 years old? Or where did this idea even come from? Where do people get this interpretation that the earth is 6,000 years old? Because it's not in the Bible. You can't find it in the Bible. So where did this come from? When did people start believing this? And you type in stuff like, when did the church start to believe in younger creationism? Nothing but Answers in Genesis. It is a monopoly, and it's scary. And so I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not going to learn about the history of younger creationism from younger creationists. And so I went to a historian, and he recommended me to look up a book by Robert Numbers called, I think it's called The Creationist. Now, Robert Numbers, he is a historian who was honored with one of the most prestigious historian award in 2008. And he has a lecture that you can find on YouTube. He has a couple, actually. And he reveals the origins of modern younger creationism.
I think I recently saw that, and I bookmarked it, but I haven't watched it. A lecture on that. Yeah, and you know, I mean, does he talk about the Seventh-day Adventists? And
Yep.
yeah, and that was the big thing around the turn of the century. And then, of course, the Scopes monkey trial. You know, that brought a lot of things out, and then it just kind of coasted along for a while. But it was with Morris, you know, writing the Genesis flood and that in the Whitcomb and Morris, I believe it was, in the I got the book right here. Yeah, right here. This one in the early 60s, you know, and that's the modern version of creation science, if you want to call it that. That's when they started calling things creation science and claiming it was scientific. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I found out about that. Then I going further back, I found out about George McCready Price. Then I found out about Ellen White and her visions and how that played a factor. And then just going all the way back to the original, the GOAT, the greatest of all time is what they call him, Bishop James Usher, who was he was an Anglican bishop. And he is the one where, if you finally go all the way back, he was the one who came up with this 6,000-year-old number. And so by the time I've done all my research, remind you, I have so much evidence for different transitional fossils. I have the evidence from geology. I have the evidence from astronomy that the Earth is not 6,000 years old. So I have evidence, one, that the Earth is way older than 6,000 years old. Then I have evidence from the transitional fossils, which those were really, really powerful to me, because I was always told transitional fossils don't exist. So I mean, like, to see even like Pachycetus, like I've never seen a fossil like that before, and that's a whale. So I had all this evidence sitting on one side, and then on the other side for younger creationism, I couldn't find a piece of legitimate evidence. And so I remember that night, I weighed my options, and I said, you know what? I didn't know how to compartmentalize it with my theology yet, but it made no sense for me to keep on denying it when I had the evidence clearly in front of my face. And so I changed my mind on evolution.
Someone asked, do you challenge young Earth creationists now? I don't see the comment now, but I did see it a minute ago. And let me just say, too, to the people saying hello, all of you. In order to answer back correctly, I've got to switch screens and stuff. So I just want to say hello back to everybody that said hello. Thank you. And I'm still getting used to this program, so I'm not doing a lot of interacting with the chat at this point yet. So, but yeah, I mean, do you actively challenge young Earth creationists at this point? And if so, what are the responses been?
I do challenge younger creationists. I don't do it as much as I used to. And I think I'm going to start, I got to start working on my YouTube channel again, getting back on that. And I definitely do still challenge younger creationists. And when I do challenge them, a lot of the answers are not scientific as much as they are theological. And that is the true heart of the issue with people who are religious and people who deny evolution. In most cases, it may be different for somebody out there, but I've noticed in most cases, usually a lot of religious people I find might reject evolution. One, because they don't understand how evolution really works, because they've been taught a bastardized version of evolution. And two, they might deny evolution because it might oppose to their theology. They might think from what they've been told, what they've been taught. And so usually you can give a lot of people as many great scientific answers as you want, but they'll never truly change their mind until you just reassure them, look, evolution in no way threatens your faith, threatens the existence of your God or gods or whatever. It's just the fact that evolution happens to be true, like gravity. You believe in gravity, you believe in atomic theory, you believe in germ theory. Evolution is another factual theory that says nothing about a god or gods. It just says something about reality, and that is it.
Right. What do you think about guys like Ken Ham or Ray Comfort? I've seen both of them do this. They will say that the age of the earth or that type of thing is not a salvation issue, right? They will flat out say it's not a salvation issue, whatever. But then in the next breath, they will say, but if you doubt a literal Genesis, why should you accept the rest of the Bible?
Well, they obviously don't know the true interpretation of the Genesis account, for number one. I will also say I would challenge them one step farther. Why not only doubt that the Earth is 4 billion years old, why not also believe that the Earth is flat? Because that is what the biblical authors believed. They believed the Earth was flat. So why not believe the Earth is flat and it's held up by pillars and there's a glass sky over top of it? I mean, why not go a step further if you want to be a true literalist? And they don't want to believe that though. So I mean, they're not as literal as they think they are, and also they're very dangerous. People who tout younger creationism over other Christians' heads as a way to shame them or say they don't really believe in the Bible, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. If Ray Comfort and Ken Ham lived a few hundred years ago with Copernicus, where people believed that the Earth did not rotate, the Earth did not move, and Ray Comfort and Ken Ham said anything different, they would have been killed. But I'm sure Ray Comfort and Ken Ham believe the Earth is not on pillars. They believe the Earth revolves around the sun. The Earth is not stationary. So I mean, Ray Comfort and Ken Ham, they definitely are dangerous, very deceptive people. And I would just hope maybe one day they change their mind. But I will say, this relates to the topic. On his deathbed, I think it was Henry Whitcomb, he actually admitted to somebody. I'm not going to say their name because he doesn't really want to be revealed. I'll tell you backstage. But Henry Whitcomb actually admitted that he knew younger creationism wasn't true, but he did not want to tell his audience that, his followers that, because it was so ingrained in their heads at the time, they would have turned on him.
What about, a lot of people that I have interviewed so far or talked to over the years, they didn't hold that middle level, that middle ground very long. I mean, they went straight from young Earth creationist to atheist or whatever. And a lot of it, I believe, is they're upset with Christianity or their upbringing, after figuring out they've been lied to. You're not in that mode at all right now, but I mean, do you know people that's happened to? Have you seen other people? Have you talked to other people that were former young Earth creationists, or do you know any other people now that are former young Earth creationists that just rejected religion altogether?
Just about, I'll say maybe 30% of the old G+, they were ex-younger creationists turned atheists. And I understand, because when the wool comes from over your eyes and you understand that you have been lied to, whether it was deliberately or mistakenly or whatever, there definitely is. That's trauma. That's definitely trauma. And I think personally, younger creationism I think it's a cult. It's ran like a cult. You can only look at their material. You can look at nobody else's material but Answers in Genesis, but Ray Comfort's. Everybody else's material is lies, but not ours. Not ours. What else? They ostracize you out the group. One thing about my experiences, I was in a couple Facebook groups for younger creationism, and I was a part of Eric Hovind's Creation Today. It wasn't exactly his ministry, but they partner with like a third party. And when I
in a Facebook group or
it's not a Facebook group. It's
okay.
Like a partner ministry or something like that.
Okay.
But when I came out to the director and I said, I'm not so sure, and I had not even made up my mind yet. I was still on the fence. And I said, I just have questions about the age of the Earth and everything. And he said, oh, so you're telling me you accept old Earth? And I'm like, no, I just have questions. And kicked me out of that group. The Facebook groups are running. They kicked me out of those groups. The Christian friends that I had, now all of a sudden, I'm just as bad as an atheist now. I might as well not even believe the Bible because I don't believe the first part to them. So it definitely is ran like a cult, because I think it is a cult.
That was kind of my next question. I mean, well, let me ask you, I mean, were you a member of a church? I mean, did you attend church regularly as a young Earth creationist? And did you change churches?
No, I'm still part of the same church.
Okay.
I did not change churches. And the people at my church, they didn't really care much about it. So, and this is the part about where community and everything. A lot of people who go to Facebook groups or even have like internet social gatherings, they can't really talk about these issues with other people because you might have some family members or some friends. They probably just don't care about stuff like this. And so where else do you go? You go to Facebook, you go to G+, so you can talk to people who are like-minded. But then when you want to change your belief, your mind about something, you could get ostracized from those groups. So.
What about friends and family? I mean, has this been an issue with any like real close friends or any family members?
No, with my friends and my family, they might ask me like what made me change my mind, but it's never been an issue.
That's good. I mean, they're still supportive of you, and it wasn't a deal breaker as far as any relationships go or anything.
No. But what I will say for the people who go and they take that extra step and they say, you know what, let me just denounce my faith altogether. I understand that is trauma when you had been lied to about something, especially when they tell people, oh, if you don't believe in a 6,000-year-old Earth, you're not really a Christian or what. That is trauma. That is abuse. That is manipulation. And people should not do that to other people at all.
Yeah, I agree. Have we missed any questions? Any questions coming up? Or what else have you got? What was one thing you really hoped we would discuss?
George McCready Price.
Okay.
I
know the name. You got to refresh my memory because
So George McCready Price was like the underling of Ellen G. White. So Ellen G. White.
Okay.
Yeah. So he read a lot of Ellen G. White's books and her memoirs and stuff. And I'm going to describe George McCready Price's life, and his life is going to be very similar to somebody else we know. George McCready Price did not have a college education, but he taught at a college because his wife begged the Canadian administration of the college he taught, I think, or was it American? But he taught at the college. He didn't have an education, and he would debate the professors on evolution, and they got so frustrated with him they stopped debating him altogether. Then George McCready Price, he met Henry Morris because Henry Morris had a PhD. George McCready Price didn't, and they would publish their own work. And I said, oh my gosh, this sounds exactly like Dr. Kent Hovind. So that's all I'll say. Very similar to somebody else we know.
All right. Hey, thanks for the super chat. Yes, it is an atheist creation factory. I will agree with that. I think that people like Kent Hovind and that are creating more atheists than they realize. I did a video on how his numbers are just so far off from other people. He's got 145,000 subscribers, but his video views are really low, compared to sub count. His positive responses and thumbs up are very low compared to video views. And I mean, I think he thinks he's this amazing evangelistic young Earth creationist when half the people are there watching for a train wreck, So were you ever a fan of Kent Hovind as a young Earth creationist?
I was a big fan of Kent Hovind.
Really?
I was a big fan. And then I kind of weaned off of him. But it wasn't his view on younger creationism that really made me back off. I have an interview on my YouTube channel with a young woman from one of his work camps, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, which is another big sign of a cult. But we had an interview, and the stuff that went on, you guys can see it on my YouTube channel, but the stuff that went on in that place was just bananas. Wow.
Here's a question. Does the guest have concerns, opinions regarding rebranding of YC to intelligent design? Hardcore young Earth creationists, guys like Ken Ham and that, do not like intelligent design because it does not name a designer. And they're all about naming a specific Christian God designer. Intelligent design people try to distance themselves away somewhat from young Earth creationists, but never enough to really drive them away because it's revenue. They'll still buy their books and things like that. So they're not going to come out and actively speak against young Earth creationists, but they don't, you don't see them collaborate on anything. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that young Earth creationism is really being rebranded to intelligent design. I think I see that as more of old Earth creationism, but definitely a way to get something else into a classroom under the disguise of being scientific. What do you think?
I would have to agree with same thing. A lot of younger creationists they do refer or they do reference the intelligent design books.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they'll reference it when they want to. A lot of young Earth creationists will, but when it comes right down to it, they don't embrace it completely. In fact, like I said, guys like Ken Ham, he's like, oh no, intelligent design is they're while he would agree that everything's intelligently designed, he doesn't agree with people like Behe and that in the movement that accept things like common descent or refuse to name the creator, the designer, so. Do you know what Jimmy's asking about here with the ichthyosaur fossil? There was an article that came out last week where in England, somebody discovered this fossil in about, I think it was 1850. So it was 9 years before Darwin published his, the theory of evolution. And back then, fossils like this were a huge problem for the church because, these are things that no longer exist. It wasn't explainable. So basically this family buried it in their backyard for 100 and whatever year, I mean, it's crazy. They buried it in the backyard and they finally dug it up now. And it's been, I think it's all been prepped and it's going to be on display somewhere. I think I got that right. So wow. Is that crazy or what?
Well, this is my first time hearing about it. But what's funny is, I'll tell you guys, look out for in November. I was approached by BioLogos to write an article for them about the history of the church and even my journey of faith. And so I've written a little bit about church history as it relates to evolution. And whatever Ken Ham and a lot of the other younger creation advocates say, the church actually, for the most part, majority of the church, at first, they were on board with evolution. They were completely fine with it. Charles Kingsley, he wrote, "We know of old that God was wise, but he is even so much more wiser that he created all things to create themselves." And this is in response to the discoveries that Darwin had made. This was by Charles Kingsley. You can Google the quote. But for people like that who I mean, it was no reason for them to hide the fossil and stuff like that. I mean, are you really as Christian as you say you are? If you're hiding stuff and keeping things in the dark, I mean, just deal with it. I mean, what does somebody say? You can choose your own beliefs, but you can't change the facts. So if you find something that conflicts with your beliefs, get some new beliefs.
Right. Yeah, they are. Maybe that's one of the reasons they decided to finally go public with it. I mean, I'm sure their beliefs have changed, but yeah, somebody was saying that they put it on a picture of their brandy bottles. Yeah, the family's a wealthy British family there, and they have like an ichthyosaur brandy now or something like that. So interesting. Yeah. So what else? Let me put up the live Q&A banner here now. So let's see what else we got going on here. You mentioned while we're waiting for some questions too, you mentioned you're going to be doing something with BioLogos. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? How did you get involved with them?
So BioLogos actually they approached me and they asked me to just write an article about my journey of faith from leaving younger creationism and accepting evolutionary creationism. And it's a little bit more detailed than the interview we're having, so you can find out all the little small details in the article. But I think everybody who still holds to their faith after accepting evolution, I definitely have got to give every one of those people big props, because it's not an easy thing. Like I said, that's trauma, and then you start to have a lot of doubt for other things. When other religious people tell you about other things, like you start to think to yourself, well, what else did they lie to me about? And then you just say, you know what, I'm done with everything altogether. But for the people who haven't done that, It takes a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of stability to do that. I mean, and I understand. All I can even say is when you find out you've been lied to like that, that's trauma. That is a lot of trauma.
Now, I see BioLogos as, this is just my own assessment or whatever, as more of a theistic evolution kind of organization where I see reasons to believe ministry. You know, Ross and Fuzz Ron and that is more of an old Earth Creationist ministry.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Here's a good question from Jimmy Hill, a previous guest of my show.
Was there someone close to you that you used to respect when you were a believer that you now see differently now that you aren't a believer? Well, I'm still a Christian. I still believe in Christianity, but I don't believe the Earth is 6,000 years old anymore. But somebody, it's not that I don't respect them because they teach that the Earth is young. Like I still for some parts of me still like Jason Lyle. But I don't like Ken Ham, not because he teaches that the Earth is young, but because he just turned into a really mean person. He's really mean. He's a really mean, grumpy person. And the way he disowns other Christians who doesn't believe what he believes is very harsh compared to like somebody like, even when I was a younger creationist, I loved Danny Faulkner, and I still do. Danny Faulkner is awesome besides his younger creationist beliefs. But like, if I don't have respect for them anymore, it has nothing to do with their personal beliefs and just how they treat other people.
Yeah, I have respect for several, not so much younger creationists, but older, like Fuzz Rana. The guy's a great guy. He's intelligent. He's great to talk to. I don't agree at all with what he teaches about human evolution. I mean, not a bit, but I mean, I can have a discussion with him because he's a nice enough guy. Ken Ham's just angry all the time. I mean, He's stomping mad. I always joke, Ken Ham's stomping mad again. He's going off about this, going off about that. He talks about a lot of political stuff that has nothing to do with creationism. He involves, a lot of different, current events or political things in there, and somehow tries to justify his belief with, his creationist beliefs. So
yeah, because it's manipulation. It's manipulation.
All right. I think there was here's a good question for you. Hey, you ever been there?
No, I have not.
What part of the country are you in? I'm not sure.
So I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I'm probably on the East Coast.
All right.
But no, I've never been to the Ark Encounter. I would like to go. I got to plan a trip out there. Whenever I can.
I don't think I could do it. I just don't think. Yeah. I wouldn't enjoy myself, and I just think I'd be upset at what is being taught, so, but Ansgar, hello. And let's see, we've got a question here from Immutable Destiny. Are people in the ID movement to be guilty of the same errors or using the same arguments that creationists use? Example, James Tour, Origin of Life Talk. I made that video with Gary Hunt. We've been trying to work on something different, something a little more broad, maybe, to address some more of that. Tour, I don't even know that he's really involved with the intelligent design movement. They've really latched onto him. He's definitely not a young Earth creationist. I'm not sure exactly where his religious beliefs lie, but he is guilty of omission and misrepresenting evidence for sure. As far as the origin of life goes, it's like, yeah, we don't know the origin of life. So what's the big deal when you point out we don't know it? We don't know it. We say we don't know it. We don't have the answers yet. We're still looking. But people in the ID movement, there are people that, I just find it comical. I'm a member of ID Facebook group, the official one or whatever it's called. And I've been a member on and off for 10 years and 9 years. And so I'm currently a member, and I see the same person posting stuff over and over, and it's like Darwinism, evolutionism, and it's just these little summaries of and they're basically building this little straw man of what people who accept science are and who they are and what they believe in. And so they're guilty of a lot of the same things, I would say. What do you think?
I would say yes. And to an extent, maybe because I've never actually been an exec intelligent designer. I mean, I always was a theist, but not in the intelligent design group. They use a lot of the same arguments. They use a lot of the same arguments, but I would more look out for the red flags of a cult in intelligent design too. If you say you're questioning some of their beliefs, will they ostracize you? Will they manipulate you? Are they deliberately hiding the truth from you? Will they only allow you to look at ID only sources, or do they even tell you what peer review is? I mean, a lot of younger creationists run around on the internet, they've never read a peer review article. So I mean, just look out for
I've seen a couple, what you might call militant ID proponents. There doesn't seem to be too many of them. I mean, most of the people that I run into in the groups are creationists, either old or young Earth, and they're there getting information about intelligent design, but they're not. They believe they know who the designer is. So that's their God. So I just don't see that many people adamantly, supporting intelligent design. They're using it as a resource to, say that it's scientific, the study, that is scientific, where I don't believe it is at all. And, Kitzmiller versus Dover showed us that. So
intelligent design is more like the blanket. You know how usually if you have a new TV, you put a blanket over it to cover it. That's basically intelligent design. And then you take the blanket off the TV, and boom, it's really me. It's younger creationism. So.
Yeah. This one I popped up. I should have waited here, but Kent Hovind flings on insults. Absolutely. He begins every broadcast with, "We believe evolution is the stupidest, dumbest religion and cult and blah, 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 blah." He's not out there trying to convert anybody. He's not going to convert anybody by doing that. If I were somebody on the edge, or if I'm somebody that accepts evolution, but I want to know more about what he's going to say, I'm turned off and I'm tuned out at that point. And I don't know if he realizes it or not. He probably does. He's just doing this because his little followers that are devout YECs that hate evolution are going, yeah. Every time he says it, but it's not there to change anybody's mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Here's one for you. Please tell your guest I said how much respect I have for him being able to confront. I've been lied to. So what is the truth? No post hoc, no but. Have great respect for that. So,
thank you.
All right. This must be a question for you.
What makes you believe in a God? So this is a question that people in civilizations that ask for thousands of years. When you look up at the stars and stuff like that, we might ask like, "Oh, I wonder." People when people ask this type of question, for example, like how were the stars made, I don't think they actually understand what they're saying, because we know the process of how stars are made. We can see it. But I think they really mean like, why does the universe exist, and why are we here, and what gives us purpose and stuff. And like, so those type of questions are what lead me to believe that God is the best answer. And guess what? I'm willing for my mind to be changed. Anybody can talk to me, have a conversation with me about why they think my reasons are bad reasons, and then I'll say, okay, I'll analyze those reasons and I'll get back to you.
Here's another question for you.
Yes, I did. I was, Mom, Dad, look at what I found out about this, and they're lying to us about whatever. Yeah.
You didn't force them to watch Kent Hovind VHS tapes, did they?
No.
Yeah. Here we go. For you.
Christian because he forgets almost switches to religion at birth. Doesn't this equal child indoctrination, brainwashing? So even long before I found out about the younger creation, so I had a you can say like a spiritual faith journey, way before the younger creationist stuff. But no, I'm not a Christian because my parents are Christian. I grew up in a religious household, but we didn't really talk about religion or anything like that. If I told my mom, hey, I believe in Islam or Buddha, she, okay, that's nice. Wouldn't really care.
That's interesting. You know, it was kind of like that in my house. I mean, I've told the story before that I was baptized Lutheran as a baby. I was confirmed Episcopalian when I was like 12. I went to church, but we were like wintertime and holiday churchgoers, church holidays. I started racing motorcycles when I was young, and so we did that for about 10 years and every Sunday, so I just didn't go to church after that. And then as I got older, I mean, I used to go fishing every Sunday and joke I went to the Church of the Rainbow Trout, so but it was never really an issue in my I really don't ever remember a family discussion on religion the entire time that I grew up, even though both of my parents considered themselves Christian. So.
Yeah. My parents and they talk about religion like the saying in passing. They'll talk about religion in passing. Like, oh yeah, that was a great sermon or like stuff like that. But it was never like we never had arguments about religion. Like it was just something like whatever. Like it was more or less like assumed, and that was it. And the second part to his question, do I think it equals childhood indoctrination or brainwashing for somebody to put their religion onto their children? I think it is. And this is where a lot of friends and family and I, we disagree. I do think that when I have kids, I don't want to teach them about religion.
There we go. Oh, I think I lost my connection for a minute.
Oh, yep, you did. You were frozen for a minute. But
all right.
I don't have children yet, but when I do have kids, whenever that may be, if I do have kids, I don't want to. And I had this conversation with family members before. I don't want to teach my kids about religion, or at least indoctrinate them into believing in religion. I think before people can even make that choice, I think they need to have the capability and they need to have the correct tools to be able to reason down to, all right, this is why I think this religion is true or not true. And when you're a child, you don't have that mental capacity. You don't have the capability to do that stuff. So I honestly, I don't even think I would have that discussion with my kids until maybe their 20s, maybe.
Yeah, we rarely discuss religion in my house, although my kids attended church more with their mother. I've been divorced for 19 years now, but when the kids were little, they went to church with mom a lot. I went a few times, but we my daughter, she's 27, amazing young woman, and she's Christian, and it's not an issue between us at all. And my sons are just a little younger, and religion just isn't a part of their life. I think one would probably consider himself an atheist, the other one just agnostic, and it just isn't something he's involved with at all. But they're all a little bit different. But I think it's good that you can, again, we didn't discuss it much, but now that they're in their 20s, we have some discussions now and then, especially because they see what I've been doing on YouTube and Facebook and whatever. So it comes up, but it's not come up as an issue. It comes up.
Yeah, it's not an issue. And one thing, what I would want to teach my kids about? I would want to teach my kids, how do you problem solve? How do you come to rational conclusions about things? How do you use deduction? Those are conversations I want to have with my kids. I don't really want to teach my kids about religion. And I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question for you. What do you think about hypothesis trying to explain pre-Big Bang, such as varying speed of light, all that? Boy, I'm
eternal inflation. I don't think pre-Big Bang questions make sense in my point of view. Like when people ask stuff like what happened before the Big Bang, I think it shows that they don't understand what the Big Bang teaches.
Yeah. We got any more coming up here? One thing I was saying when I lost connection there for a minute was I've had a lot of people asking me, how come you haven't been making videos lately? Well, I volunteered 40 hours in the month of September. So that is the main reason right now I have not made a lot of videos. I had the convention, the National Convention for the Geological Society of America, that I had a all-day poster presentation last Wednesday. I had to prepare for that, and then led a field trip expedition with 14 adults and 10 children this last weekend up to the track site I discovered. I just made a Facebook post about that. I'll post to my blog tomorrow. And but yeah, just a lot of preparing for that stuff and volunteering. I mean, 40 hours in 1 month is about the max I've ever done. So, and a lot of it has to do with time of year. You know, in Arizona, it's the areas up north are too cold in the winter. The areas down south are too hot in the summer. September, October is beautiful everywhere, and that's when we do a lot of paleo work. So, yeah. What do we got for comments? And I'm back. I keep losing and coming back. Are you there, Wayne?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Yeah, I lost my connection again. I don't know what's going on. You know, it's you pay for the highest speed, best connection you get, and every time you want to do a show. So, yeah, I'm back. Here's a question for you. Oh, come on. Don't let me lose my connection again. No. You guys hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yep, I hear you.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. It's really a big delay. Something going on. Anyway, this is for you.
Since he taught science, will he do that again through BioLogos as they go to churches to teach Evo? I would teach through BioLogos if they offer me that. They did recently reach out to me so I could write for them. So I'll see where that goes. But you know, whatever happens. It's up in the air. But if they offer it to me, I'll be glad to do it. And if you guys know of anybody else who I could partner with or who I could link up with, definitely just let me know. I think my YouTube channel is down in the description, so you guys can contact me through there.
It will be in about an hour or two when this updates. I will update the description and give better links. But tell us about your YouTube channel. You're the Science Enthusiast. So what do you focus on, and how's the response been to it?
So I focus on, of course, evolution and creation. Love astrophysics. I have a few videos even dealing with genetics, dealing with I don't even know if your crowd is even familiar with these people, but dealing with the Black Hebrew Israelite people. I did some videos in response to their scientific claims. So that was fun. And so my YouTube channel deals with science and theology, dealing with a lot of religious groups who might make off-the-wall scientific claims, and I'll go through in my videos piece by piece, debunking their claims. So definitely, if you like those type of videos, check them out. My YouTube channel is really known for my playlist. I have a playlist that is directed towards helping people get out of younger creationism and understanding that evolution in no way threatens their faith. Like I said before, once you have that theology talk with somebody about younger creationism, and once they have a lot of their theological questions answered, then they're a lot more receptive to get the evidence. So definitely, if you have a YEC in your life, give them the link to that playlist. It'll save you a lot of time talking, and it'll save them a lot of research.
I'll put a link to that in the description too. And now you need to put this video at the top of that.
Good.
Definitely. Yeah. What do we got for more questions? It's a little bit faster. We're on about a 20-30 second delay from YouTube, so I can switch over there. But yeah, BioLogos and Ken Ham, somebody's mentioning that they're not on Ken Ham's short list. You know, he doesn't really talk about BioLogos. He doesn't really talk about Hugh Ross or Fazrana either, you know, and they don't really talk about him much, right? I mean, they tend to seem to not really do a lot in that way.
Yeah, I guess they just went their separate ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here's a question for you.
I've never done a video about Muslims and what they say about the Quran. Man, that's interesting. I've had talks with Robert Rowe about this, and my view is the same view I have with the Bible as far as science. And remember, I am religious. I am a Christian. Oh, that's my fault.
Ouch.
But sorry about that. But I have had talks with Robert Rowe about this, and my view is the same view as the Bible. I don't think the Bible is a science book, and the science that is in the Bible, it's ancient science, therefore it is old. And whatever science is in the Quran is ancient science, therefore it is old, and it's wrong. So I wouldn't say you shouldn't believe in Islam because the science is wrong, but is the theology correct? Because both of those books are about theology. But absolutely, if somebody's trying to use science as a tactic or as an argument to believe in the Quran or the Bible, I would say they're wrong. They're just demonstrably wrong. Like, obviously, I could even give you one in the Bible where Jesus is talking to Satan on top of a mountain, and the Bible says Satan shown him the kingdoms of the world. You can't see the kingdoms of the world from mountaintop, obviously. Obviously not giving you science.
What do we got here, Brian? All right, Brian. I don't really know the answer to that. 42.
I don't have any answer for that.
Oh. Well, let's see if we got any other last minute questions. Get them out. We're going to wrap it up. I am working on a video on the field trip we did this weekend. 6-year-old girl discovered the first set of 270 million-year-old reptile tracks, the first new set discovered in the last year at the paleo site I've been working on, by flipping over a rock in an area that I have walked 100 times, and many other people have walked. So a 6-year-old girl flipped over a rock and found some beautiful prints. She went home with a plaster cast of them too. So it's going to be a great video showing how to do citizen science and how to teach to a group and how to do it the right way and getting them all involved. And actually, we made discoveries. We discovered 4 new sets of fossils. So it was amazing. 6-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy also discovered some new tracks. And we were almost going to collect it because it was so heavy and it looked like it wasn't easily busted down, you know, the slab. He dragged that sucker all the way back to my car. It took him 30 minutes, but I give him credit. He's a husky 14-year-old boy. But at that point, he got a cast to take home, and it's going to end up in the New Mexico Museum and Natural History Resource Center with his name on, or Research Center with his name on it. So, yeah. All right. Well, it's been an hour. You got anything else you'd like to add, Wayne? It's been great having you on.
Thanks. The only thing I even have to say is, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so now. But also, you definitely do not have to pick and choose one or the other. Am I going to believe in my faith or accept evolution? Science in no way is out to get religion, or because the way YECs put it is, these scientists are not in the labs doing experiments, but I wouldn't even say in the lab. I think YECs think scientists go to a big conference and they conspire together so they can have fake evidence against younger creationism or something, and it's weird. But no, definitely, you can believe in God and you can believe in science. The two don't have to be polar opposites. And at the end of the day, if you're a Christian, the only thing that matters is there's a God, Son of Jesus Christ. Jesus came in the flesh, lived as a man, was crucified, died for 3 days, and resurrected. And I mean, that's it. Like, if you believe in those Christian tenets, you are a Christian, no matter what Ken Ham says, no matter what Ken Hovind says, no matter what somebody at your church says. If you believe in those Christian tenets, you're a Christian, whether you accept evolution or not.
And I can respect that, I just can't respect people that teach the Earth is 6,000 years old and people rode dinosaurs. So that's for sure. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. And thanks again, everybody. Tune in next week. All right. And I'm not getting my outro. Oop.